Is Kevin Kimble here? I'm having trouble. I can't tell if he's.
Yeah, can you hear and see me now?
We can hear you. We can hear and see you now. Yes, thank you. Go ahead.
Thanks. Well, Jason, I'll be merciful and I won't take up my whole 5 minutes. So, good morning to everyone, and thank you for inviting me and allowing me to speak today. My name is Kevin Kimble. I am the DC Bureau Chief of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and I'm also the Executive Director of their Global Policy Initiative here in Washington, DC. Many of you may know SCLC is an organization committed to civil rights from its founding in the 1950s by Dr. King as a result of the Montgomery bus boycotts. We tend to engage in lots of conversations about racial justice and inequities. And some 3 years past the 50th anniversary of the Poor People's Campaign, we are concerned that the fate of Black America is not improving. For today's discussion, I think, simply put, health is such a huge function of the Black community, and the ability to work and to have economic empowerment is rooted in healthcare. And when we looked at this particular issue, I was sort of concerned, and after watching some of the testimony today, that ICER would or could make a determination that a drug was not cost effective based on the limited data it had and the limited information that it was able to secure in the process. So first, to the researchers, the control group was problematic. The average age of the women in the group was 44, men was 54. And we know that African-American women catch the disease much earlier. So understanding how they could actually make a determination based on that number was problematic for us. What we really would like to ask is that ICER, take more time, take in more information. Everyone's spoken on this earlier, so I don't want to belabor or repeat too many things, but we don't believe ICER is doing justice to a group of women, particularly African-American women, whose lifelong journey is going to be hampered by the inability to get cutting-edge drugs. A 25-year-old woman, African-American woman who's yet to bear children with a life expectancy of 50 to 60 or 60 to 65, if quality doesn't value her life, then there's a problem with quality, right? And that is something that we at SCLC understand, that the rules can always be set against you if we're not careful. And we very much would like to talk to continue this conversation with you and others about how we can improve the way ICER takes advantage of the data that's out there. I mean, we need to engage physicians. Many African Americans live in healthcare deserts. They don't get the proper care. And if at the beginning of the process, the rules are set so that they can't get high quality drugs, then what is their quality of life? And what is the purpose of the drug if we can improve the quality of life of these young people? Again, I had a long statement, but everyone has kind of covered it. I would like to say that we want to pass along our condolences for the loss of Ms. Law to Ms. Huff and her colleagues. And again, thank you. I'll be glad to answer any questions or engage in any way possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your very helpful comments. Is the ICER team available to respond to any of this?
Yes.
Before I ask for questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin, very much for your comments. These points you raised, I think these are very, very important points for us to highlight and even have more conversation about. And I believe some of these things will come out during our policy roundtable later this afternoon. I think these points are important ones for us to highlight. Specifically for our model, I know that we had focused on the age of the patients that were enrolled in the clinical trials. Again, we always welcome opportunities to make sure as much as possible we're reflecting what is happening in the real world. And so these comments are important for us to elevate, and even just for future research as even more drug developers even enroll patients in their clinical trials.
May I ask you one question? Also, I noticed that in the analysis, it didn't talk about the racial makeup of the control group.
So I believe for the model, Dan had presented that about 71% of, okay, for the racial breakdown. I don't think we have that data. Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe we have that data presented.
That's correct. We did not have information on the racial breakup of patients in clinical trials.
Jeff, is that accurate in terms of the clinical?
In the ADAPT trial, we do have a race ethnicity breakdown. It was around 10% Asian, 4% Black or African American, the vast majority around 85% white, and around 4% other.
Again, I know that's one of the points that Jeff had highlighted during his presentation as areas of limitation, and that we don't have good data on the non-white population. That's part of the reason why we're making space to elevate these important subgroups that we need more data on.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you both.
Jason, did you mean to mute yourself?
I did not. Thank you.
There you go.
Did everyone hear what I said or no?
No.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And then I have a feeling you were about to send us off to lunch. And
you were right. We are 8 minutes into lunch, but I just wanted to very briefly give the CPAC a chance to maybe ask one quick question if needed. Otherwise, I will let everyone have lunch. Okay, hearing none, we will take a break for lunch, and we will plan to return at 12:50.